We have some significant breaking news from the NHL. We have our second coaching casualty of the NHL season, and the first casualty, Jim Montgomery, is already back to work. We'll discuss the move involving the St. Louis Blues coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some more significant news from the NHL, and it's another coaching change, and one that I guess isn't too shocking, but one that I thought may not happen here just yet. But either way, Drew Bannister of the St. Louis Blues has been relieved of his duties as head coach. So the Blues, of course, this year have a record of 9-12-1. Bannister hasn't been on the job that long. That's why I personally thought they might give him a little bit more runway. Of course, he was only in, I guess you could say, he did barely even coached a full season if you look at the body of work between last year and this year. Of course, Bannister had taken over once the Blues decided to part ways with Craig Berube, the longtime coach, of course, who led them to the 2019 Stanley Cup Championship. But Bannister had a record of 39-31-6 during his brief tenure. He was still under contract for the remainder of this year and one more season. However, the Blues had an opportunity here to snag a pretty well-respected, one of the top coaches around the NHL who was recently fired in Boston, and Jim Montgomery. And of course, Montgomery also has ties to this organization, so it's not like there's lack of familiarity here. Jim Montgomery, of course, played with the Blues a long time ago as a player, and he was recently an assistant coach there as well for a couple of seasons after Jim Montgomery had his head coaching job in Dallas. Unfortunately, when things went, I guess you could say, kind of sour, and he ran into some personal issues, losing his job there. Once he sought help and came back to the NHL, he was employed by the St. Louis Blues as an assistant coach for 2 years before going on to get the head coaching job with the Boston Bruins, where he was just recently let go. Of course, all the reports indicate from Elliot Friedman and other insiders that it wasn't just a case of the Bruins firing Montgomery strictly on performance for the team. That did certainly play a role, but there were certainly some issues with contract negotiations, and there was also some concerns that Montgomery might not stick around anyway, that there was kind of concerns on both sides. It wasn't just a case of the team not playing well and management saying, well, maybe we should fire the coach. This was a case of the management knowing that the coach has their own concerns and may not want to stay. They never really gave him the leeway to hire his own assistants. I don't know what him and Sweeney saw eye to eye on the roster construction and the future and how things were going there in Boston. So it seemed to be a relationship that was almost doomed to fail after a couple of very successful regular seasons, not as much playoff success as they would have liked. But Jim Montgomery is a fantastic coach, has ties to this organization. The organization's, like I said, near the bottom of the Central Division after a slow start of 9-12-1 this year. Obviously, we know Doug Armstrong and assistant GM Alex Dean. There's been a couple of changes now that they've made. But this is not one of those cases. I know sometimes when you see GMs only have so many chances to hire coaches. But really, if you think about it, they had a very new to the head coaching role, Drew Bannister. The team struggled, and this was an opportunity that they saw for a familiar face to come in as what they looked on as a major upgrade. Now, they've also signed Jim Montgomery to a 5-year contract extension as well. So Jim Montgomery will be, in St. Louis for an extended period of time, and will be paid what he was looking for when he wasn't going to likely get in Boston. So obviously some big news in St. Louis, big change behind the bench. Montgomery, like I said, is a great coach. We'll see if he can get things turned around in St. Louis. I do think a lot of their struggles as well, like Boston, is roster related. So we'll see what other moves we see out of St. Louis, but they very well could get the new coach bump, as you often see in the NHL, and see if they can rise up the standings and compete for playoffs. Of course, after taking over last year, Drew Bannister was able to get a much better second half of the NHL season. We'll see if they can have a much earlier effect in the same sort of deal, if not even better, with Jim Montgomery. So let me know your thoughts on this big coaching change in St. Louis. Montgomery only unemployed here for a matter of a few days before landing this new job. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.